What is up, guys? Welcome to RollPlay Dark Heresy. My name is JP McDaniel. It has been whatever. It's been a month.
1 week since I looked at you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that was
That's
accurate.
what you were going to say. So I
Yeah,
just,
that was accurate. We made our monthly quota of producing a show. We're here. That's all that matters. What have you guys been up to? Jeff, I saw you were actually tweeting some some Warhammer 40K stuff yesterday. How's that going?
Yeah, it's awesome. My army has been commissioned and painted, and it's funny because a lot of people mess with me like, that's supposed to be half the fun, and I guess it would be if I wasn't absolutely god-awful at painting.
Yep,
for me,
sounds about right.
most of the fun was that I skipped that process and have this badass-looking army.
Yeah.
So it's been painted, and the whole idea behind that, and the reason why that part's not fun for me is because I really get a pleasure and kick out of playing the game. So yesterday I spent the entire day, TB and I were just talking about this, about 8 hours. I went in at 1 p.m., came back at 9.
How many games did you play in 8 hours?
Two games.
Nice.
And they were back-to-back. I didn't take any breaks at all.
Did you win?
I went 1-1, which is not bad considering that was my second and third game back, and these are competitive players that have been playing a long time. Both demons too, by the way, so just fuck chaos in general. But it was really, really fun. I'm really liking it. It's for people that are unfamiliar. It's one of the 4 pillars of nerddom, I want to say. I think playing video games, playing D&D, playing Magic the Gathering, and then playing Warhammer 40K are the... If you hit all 4, you're divided by 0, and the entire universe collapses in on itself. So I'm 1 away. If I ever pick up Magic, I think everyone needs to be careful because the fucking
Lord Nerd Supreme will reign over all.
What do you do to beat that? I play StarCraft 2 professionally. I kind of do D&D professionally. I play Warhammer competitively, and then if I'm just like, well, I don't have enough things to do, I'll just pick up Magic. I think what I would have to do is also not be married, or be married to someone I met at a LARPing contest or something like that. Like if I did that,
that might be the golden ticket to nerdom.
I thought that's how you did meet Anna, actually.
it's a debate team, so it's pretty high up there.
That's actually pretty high up there.
It's kind of like debate a little bit. Come on.
It's pretty bad, but so if you follow me on Twitter, I'm going to be submitting a lot of those pictures and of my painted army and matches that I play, and that's going to become a part of what you're barraged with through my tweets and my social media. And if you don't like that, I apologize. If you do, cool.
Jeff, a game of that, is that castable? Like, can you sit there and like go through like how much
Very,
depth
very
is
slowly.
there?
Yeah,
it's slow, right? I don't know
Yes.
anything about this, so I'm very interested.
In competition, rounds are typically 2 hours, and they're timed that way, so you don't go beyond. It's not like I say typically, and that means like the average match. It means that at the end of 2 hours, that's it. So I'm moving at a like 2.5, 3 hour pace right now, and that's because I'm asking, what does that mean, and what does that do? Like I have to learn a lot. I've literally only played 5 years ago. And 5 years ago, I played a shit ton, but so much has changed since then, so I'm learning a lot. Like I was beginning to say, I guess I just love it because it's just absolutely, it's StarCraft RTS on crack. Just everything is insanely complicated, and it's really challenging, and it's not balanced at all. But that's kind of half the fun. Like I play Tyranids, they are not the absolute god tier army, but I'm beating demons and stuff like that because I'm getting lucky from time. That's obviously a big part of the game. Greg would not be a big fan, but then there's also a lot of out strategizing and really epic things. Like I actually walked my Swarm Lord, which is like the biggest, most badass guy in my army, into his army by turn 2. And at the end of the game, he actually killed something like 45 models. Something stupid like that. He just 4 swords just hacked through the entire army.
Wow.
And I geek out about shit like that. A lot of us do. So that's the fun.
Well, Steve, you've been globe-trotting a little bit since the last episode. You were over in London. How'd that trip go?
That was a lot of fun. We went off to visit Games Workshop, and we got to see like all of their, like when you go to Games Workshop in Nottingham, they have a room that's like the size of like half a football field, and it's got like 50 Warhammer tables, all of them with like professional tier Warhammer terrain on it. We saw these fantastic like Tau bases that were sort of like dome-like with like massive rail guns on top that could like pivot and angle and stuff. And then, of course, they have a Warhammer shop in the back, or Games Workshop shop in the back. We also got to go and like look at their showcase room. So that's like a room that's like 50 feet by 30 feet, something like that. All along the walls are these glass cases filled with like all of the Warhammer minis that you see from the codexes. So like I played Eldar back in like 3rd edition, I guess, when I was in high school, and that was when I first got their codex and started looking through it. So I got to see like the Eldar models that were taken pictures of for that codex. That was really exciting. We were also there doing some business, and the business went really well, and hopefully I'll be able to talk about it soon.
Glad to
You
hear.
guys, you guys are like just commissioned by Games Workshop to produce the game, right? Like they.
No, that's more like a work for hire when someone comes to you and says, "Will you make this game? Here's what we want. Here's how much we're going to pay you."
Was it the other way around?
Yeah, we actually went to
Okay.
Games Workshop. Miguel was the guy who was serving as the point of contact for them. He's our studio head.
Miguel, right?
Yeah, Miguel. He was at FunCon first.
Not
Oh my
every
God.
game has to be weird, silent, or shire.
Damn.
He was serving as the point of contact. He brought the contract to Behavior, and then myself, David, and Brent joined him. We were all working with him before. And it's been going really well. We put together the design. We sent it through their approval process, got a lot of feedback from them on a lot of stuff. We're still working very closely with them to make sure that we're nailing everything right. And obviously, we're all big fans, so it was just great to be there and see everything that they had.
What was like
saw
the coolest thing you saw? And then
Huh.
like was there
Probably the-
like did they have any Titans? I hear that those are expensive or something. Like I always hear that when
We went to Games Day, so they had
40K
some
talked
Titans at
about.
Games Day. Let me do
Oh.
a quick search. Warhammer 40K Stronghold. There's this awesome stronghold that they have painted up. It's probably like 4 feet by 4 feet by like 6 feet high, and it's like a massive diorama of space wolves fending off Hive Fleet Leviathan, I think, some Tyranids that are just bursting out of everywhere. And there's like, you look in the back of it, and there's like little manhole covers where there are Tyranids bursting out. And there's all sorts of little like modeled stories all over that thing. It's really cool. I can't find a picture of it yet.
Now,
I'll
guys,
have
if
to
you're
see I
just
can
getting
find one for
involved
you
with
later.
Warhammer, on Games Workshop's website, for now, you can actually buy your own chapter, which is a great way to get started.
Yeah, yeah.
It's at the low price of $11,500, but after that,
what?
after
That's
that,
really
you
how
have
much it
1,200
costs?
models. Think about
Well,
that.
I mean, it is too many models. It is a Codex chapter, so there is 1,000 Space Marines in
Oh,
that.
okay.
As in-
And all
there's
of the
no way you are
vehicles.
playing that in a million years.
Yeah, that
It'll take
makes
you all
sense.
day
It's a
to set up.
promotion. You don't like a
Don't
Space
do
Marines army
anything
has
that he
like
just
20
said.
TAC Marines at the
Yeah.
very most, and the rest is like 3 tanks and 4 rhinos. Like it's just you don't have an army like that. So if
Yeah.
you
What?
actually there's some Dubai prince out there that's like, I'm not gonna do the voice obviously, but he picked up that army, and was like, yeah, fuck it. And he's like showing up to tournaments after having like people having painted and assembled them. He's like, bring in my army, and they're like, all right, this will be 1750, so cut that down by like 100th, and we can go ahead and get started.
Jesus. Jeff, what were you gonna ask Steven? I didn't mean to interrupt you. Sorry about that.
Oh, what was I? Well, I was just he tweeted a picture of him assembling all this stuff, and that was really cool. And I guess for people that don't know, and TB he'll have all the numbers off the top of his head on this. But when people say Titan, what they mean in the game is like Space Marine, Titan, and like they don't sell those, so people actually craft
They
them
do.
like fucking woodsmans.
They sell a couple of them,
Yeah,
but there's
sell,
a lot of
Forge
handcrafted
World
stuff
sells a
too.
couple that are like a
Yep.
foot
Yeah.
tall. But what I'm
I have a
saying
Chaos
is,
Warhound in bags. It's basically just bags and bags of resin. That
yeah,
how much was it? God, I think it was the base model for the Titan is £280, so that's about $450, and then each weapon arm is at least $60.
did you
It's
buy that
pretty
domestic
ridiculous.
at the time too? Like you bought that in the UK?
Yeah, I bought it in the UK and never got around to assembling it.
Yeah.
What? Why
But,
would you buy
so-
that? And you're like,
It just seemed like a good idea at the time, you know. It's
Is it Emperor class TB? That's the biggest one.
yeah, it's the Imperator, and then there's the Warmonger that are both considered Emperor class Titans. They're fucking
Yeah.
huge, and
Those are like
some
6
people have
feet tall,
scratch built
or 4
those,
feet tall.
and they're just absurd. I remember I think it was the old it was either second edition or Epic 40K. They had this great image of the Imperator just towering over a city, like it was
Yeah.
higher than everything. The city came up to about like its knee, if
Yeah.
that. It was just ridiculous.
They're stupid
awesome.
big. One of my favorite stories is these guys on a board posted about how they always, once a year, played an apocalypse game. An apocalypse game is where you just bring anything. Like the guy, the Dubai Prince that actually bought the full chapter would be
Bring
okay
it. Yeah.
to drop 1,900 or 1,200 models or whatever it is. So these guys have been doing this. Has been escalating. They're like 35 years old at this point, so they're just spending what they should be saving for college for their children on like Warhammer. And one day they got all set up, and they take pictures of it every time. It's a cool blog for Warhammer. And he goes, "Oh, I forgot one thing." And he went to his car, and in 3 parts off the back of the truck, he brought in a 6-foot-tall Emperor-class Titan. And it's just... all the other Titans are about a third as tall. It's just absolutely fucking ridiculous. It's like what you did as a joke in Legos and in Micro Machines as a kid. Like, okay. And you like put your giant action figure down, and like, this is my, this is my boss. And you're like, oh, you can't do that, dude. It's too big.
Yeah. It's not fair.
Last week.
Oh man.
I'm going to ask Steven a question, actually.
Yeah.
So, what made you guys think that a really good transition from SpongeBob SquarePants Plankton's Robotic Revenge and Chicken Little to an MMO about 40K would be a good idea?
Look
Well,
at Steven's straight face.
With all of the vast experience we acquired from Chicken Little and other projects such as Doritos Crash Course, we really felt that we had the AAA.
Doritos Crash
Great
so, like,
games.
Behavior Interactive is such a huge company. Well, not huge. There's probably about 300 people in it. And there's a whole lot of different divisions, and like the divisions that you're mentioning, they're the work for hire divisions. And like Doritos Crash Course is like, I think it's called the agency, where they make games for advertisers and stuff.
Promo game, yeah.
Yeah, and like what that gives them is they have this really rock solid business strategy where they've made making money solidly, steadily for the past 20 years, right? And like that doesn't happen in video games. So
Will you be integrating elements of Get On Da Mike into Warhammer 40,000 Eternal Crusade?
Clearly, you haven't been looking into Madden or the Call
there
of
will
Duty.
probably be mics in Eternal Crusade, yes. Probably voice chat of some sort. But us guys that we actually brought the project to Behavior, we're all from Funcom. So we all worked on Age of Conan and The Secret World. And then we've hired a couple of people from other areas recently because the Montreal games industry sort of went through a massive drawdown like 6 months ago where like THQ closed, EA shut down an office, just like a whole bunch of people were all of a sudden looking for work. So like Behavior hasn't necessarily done a game of this profile before. They've done a couple of games that are aspiring to be AAA, and maybe they weren't as well received as Behavior would have liked. That's Naughty Bear and Wet. But, they gave it a try. And what they do have that I'm finding very refreshing is an approach to production that's rock solid. And, like, they want to scope everything. Because the way work for hire works is someone comes to you and they say, we'll pay you $3 million to make a video game. And you say, okay. And then you want to make the game good, but you cannot go over budget, because if you go over budget, you're losing money on making that game. So you ask them for $3 million, the game is going to cost you $2.5 million, but if you can do it better and save money, then that means you make more money at the end of the day. So from our perspective, it operates differently, but they have this ingrained company culture of being able to look at every item and saying, how much will this cost? How long will it take? And that's really refreshing coming to me from my background. So
What shitty company
like-
did you come from, Steven, that you're upset with?
it wasn't a shitty company, but that specific part of it.
You guys are just ganging up on Steven today.
Was a
Stevie's
little-
like fucking grilling him and shit. Jeff's like, oh yeah, we're gonna get our fucking GM.
Pick your game apart and point out the lore inconsistencies.
Oh god.
I worked on The Secret World.
Which actually had a great storyline and a terrible combat system.
Well, there you go.
So with that, he said, Steven, you did a good job. Somebody else,
Which
maybe not so
you
much.
worked on? Did you work on level design there as well?
Yeah, I designed 2 of the dungeons, as well as, I was part of the dungeon team. So
All
I
right,
was
well, that
helping.
stuff didn't suck, so you did well there.
Thank you. That's what we would like to think.
Big win.
So, David Gosling, the creative director for Eternal Crusade, he was the lead of the dungeon team. Brent Ellison, the lead game designer, was our senior. I was one of the designers on that. I'm the lead level designer for Eternal Crusade. So, we'd like to feel proud of what we did and confident that we can pull it off.
Are you his boss in Eternal Crusade?
No, I'm
Almost.
not.
Maybe
Someday. Actually, we're none of us are each other's bosses anymore. I will have other people and be their boss, but not Brent or David.
Go Steven.
Now, you guys, if you don't follow Silent Cyrus on Twitter, it's again, we're geeking out about Warhammer, or some of us are at least. It looks like you guys take field trips to go do Warhammery things, which is absolutely awesome.
Hell yeah,
and I can see why that would be a part of the job. Like you're a part of the world, you're doing that, so you need to be immersed in it. But I like that idea. I think that's really cool. So
Well, that's what we think. We think it helps to get involved, see what fans are up to, see how the game actually plays.
I think you guys should write the game, and literally, like, you should LARP your office up into, like, it's dark and it's dank and shit, and maybe a mutant runs by, I don't know, and
Yeah, really get into the mood of things.
you actually just don't get paid, you don't get fed the entire time either, like,
Yep.
finish the game, Emperor Protection, all that shit, closing the door now.
It's just rampant disease. We're probably eating the recycled waste from, the upstairs compartments.
That'd be awesome.
Exactly. TB, what else?
Sounds like a
We
noble
can't really
concept.
grill you or anything, but what else have you been up to, man?
Well, we're moving house pretty soon, so that's a little bit of a thing. It's taking a while to get everything into boxes. We've got our big moving day probably next weekend, I would think.
Oh, okay.
So,
That
and we're
sucks.
also going to be
Moving always
getting a
sucks.
dog for once.
Hey,
Like,
what kind?
What type of dog you got?
we actually we already know which one we're getting, and it's a Shiba Inu puppy. So that should be interesting.
What do you name
I
it?
haven't had a dog in a couple of years because we haven't been able to have it in this particular house because they just didn't allow any non-caged animals. But yeah, so we should be moving into that. That'll be fun.
Can I recommend the name Patrick Bateman for it?
I was trying to get it called Cherno Alpha, but they wouldn't let me. So which was disappointing to me. But there you go. Aside from that, just the regular work for the most part. Nothing out of the ordinary.
Cool stuff. Wheat, what have you been up to, man?
Not spending money on Warcraft figures because I spend
Warhammer.
Warcraft?
That's what I said. I said
Well, I
Warhammer.
mean, it's pretty much the same thing.
I
Blizzard
said
nicked
Warcraft.
the idea.
I mean,
Oh, man.
Warhammer did copy off of Blizzard.
Oh, you guys.
So
Just saying. Protoss, Eldar, Tyranid, Zerg.
It's a joke.
I don't know if I can hear this heresy.
All right, who are we
Yeah,
replacing
well,
Fricks with anyways, right? Like,
I'm just rolling nines all day today, bitches.
Yep.
Because I buy comics. So since you guys got to talk about, Warhammer stuff for 5 minutes, I'm just going to use 25 seconds to say that The Walking Dead started a new arc. It's called All Out War, and they're doing an accelerated release schedule where they're releasing
So it's
2
not just one a
issues
month?
a month. It's
that's
totally
the book based
insane.
on the show, right?
Yeah, Jeff, I love you so much. I want to punch you in the kidneys. Yes,
Oh, my God.
yes. And if you're watching that, that fun show that they're doing, that's slightly based off of the comics, then good for you too. It's
I'm
not.
still waiting for those cheap corporate bastards to make a book based on the show Game of Thrones. Those idiots.
I
So
know.
dumb.
You know the novelization's going to suck. It's going to have a bunch of useless stuff that they just put in there. 'Cause it's like,
You
hey, we got
can't
to fill the
capture a show
pages.
that complex. You can't capture a show that complex and put it into a book. They won't cover everything.
No,
You know what I mean?
absolutely not.
Or
they
is
did
this
it.
just like shit on every major fantasy
It
thing
is.
today?
Why not today? Yeah.
Oh, God.
That's
Well,
it. That's it. Other than that, I've really been looking forward to this session, guys. So
Yeah, I think I believe every one of us broke into the 1000 XP
Yeah.
world, so we're all kind of we got access to new skills and stuff, so we'll probably see some of that today. I will say for everyone that has been watching the show, or I guess hasn't, it needs to be caught up. There is a great post on my subreddit from Steven himself of all of the stuff that's gone on so far. So if you want to take 5 minutes or so and go read that, you could be caught up with the story. And I think everyone here on the show read it because I had no idea what the fuck happened a month ago or even in the first show almost 3 months ago. So
Yep.
someone just linked it right there. Anyways.
I've also posted a live Q&A so that if you have any questions while the show are going on, you can hop over to r/itmeJP and drop your questions there. I'm not going to be able to answer while the show's going on because the shit takes a lot of attention, but I'll get to it straight after the show, maybe around 5-ish or so whenever we decide to give it a call.
Awesome stuff. All right, well, I think we're good to start. I think it's
Cool. So, what happened last time? Who remembers?
Hold on, let me open this.
You're just gonna read straight
Read it
through
word for
Yeah.
word.
Yeah, exactly.
It ended with the main thug guy that we were trying to apprehend, who we believed to have purchased the mutant organ, being dazed and phased by his own gun blowing up in his hand, and then
Yes.
an army of bartending security and his actual bodyguards tried to stop us, and a lot of them died. And I think we struck, like, we got the bartending guys to calm the fuck down a little bit.
Yeah,
They stopped.
because Fricks was the one that got the bartender to calm down, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's some magics or whatever the fuck it's called.
That's
The war
heresy. Don't even mention that.
respect.
Yeah,
Dirty, filthy sorcery.
exactly.
Pretty much. Okay. Actually, this reminds me. If you take a look over in Roll20, TB, I don't see you in there.
Oh, I
by
should
the
probably
way,
go on to that, shouldn't I? Yeah.
I've given you guys a couple more handouts that should help smooth a couple things over for us.
Cool.
One is combat actions. You can just click that up, and you can see like all of the options that you can take in combat, like aim, dodge, standing and mountain running, fainting, all sorts of stuff. And then there's one for combat modifiers. So, Jeff, we will never again forget that when you attack a surprised target at point-blank range, you get plus 60, not plus 30. So,
Yeah.
no
Cool.
more right legs when you're at point-blank.
He'll still miss.
And
though.
then I've also written up a sheet of the characters that you've met so far. So anytime you're wondering, God, what was that guy's name? You can at least look at this and have all the names there. I didn't describe them for you, but most of them I think we're pretty familiar with by now.
Awesome.
Wasn't there some dancing last time? Didn't that happen too?
Absolutely. Some of the best dancing, perhaps, in all of...
This was amazing. Yeah.
The entire universe.
It might be my greatest accomplishment thus far, yeah.
Yep. Critical to the success of the team.
Yep.
All right, so yeah, you were in Reichelt's bar, and Jax was sneaking around behind the back, and Eli it was you who went in the front and just sort of walked up to Reichelt, right? Or not Reichelt, but Jerichus, and just started talking to him, right?
Yeah, I think I sat down at the table, or I think I sat down at the table, and the rest of the crew was kind of looking around
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
bar, and then I didn't know that it was Jerichus, from what I remember.
No, that's his name. His name is Jerichus.
Well, I didn't know what he looked like when I sat down, I think is what happened. And then I found
Oh,
out,
okay.
and we had our comms on, and I kind of said the name a bunch of times.
Yeah.
I think that's what drew the rest of the crew over. At
Yes.
least that's what
and then
drew Jax over, I remember.
Jax snuck in the back and aimed straight at his head, fired missing wildly through nearly an act of God.
Yeah.
Jerichus spun around and tried to fire at Jax, but his gun jammed and then exploded in his hand and dealt him so much damage that he immediately passed out, his arm just a shredded, bloody mess. So now that Fricks has calmed down Reichelt,
Yes.
and it looks like the guards around the room are sort of standing down at Reichelt's request. What are you guys going to do with this broken, bloodied body of a man that you have here? He's still breathing. He's still alive.
Any of you got something to tie him up with?
I look at his arm and I'm like, Jax, I don't think he's going anywhere. He's missing half of his arm.
All right. That's a good point. But keep your eyes on him. I've seen some crafty little devils.
I can
Understood.
convert him into a cleaning servitor if that's what you'd like.
Not yet, friend, not yet. But perhaps that could be something we could figure him later for. I suppose we take him back to the Arbitage and interrogate him, yeah? I mean, this
Yeah.
is what we came for.
Sure, certainly. Do you want to take him back to the headquarters of the Arbites on Eutraxis? In Eutraxis?
Yeah.
Or do you want to take him back to House Phaedrus or to your quarters in House Ophaly?
I think we.
I guess we could do that.
Yeah. How far is the first place that you mentioned? Those words.
House Phaedrus?
No. The
the Arbites
Yeah. That's a
headquarters.
long ways from here, right?
Yeah.
It's not super far. It's down another floor, another level in the spire, and then you would be able to get there pretty easily. And Jax, you know the way by heart.
You know,
You've been
friends,
there.
more I think about, if we bring them into the system, we have our suspicions that some of them are under the bill of who we're inquiring about. So let's just take them to Phaedrus and interrogate them ourselves. I think we'll do fine.
Works out for me.
I agree.
All right, you bundle him up and carry him off. He's pretty heavy. He's kind of a heavy-set guy, but as you struggle with it, you're having no real problems. You manage to get Fricks and Engelbart to help out a little bit. Carry it off to House Phaedrus. The guards open the gates for you, and they kind of look askance. You see a couple of them voxing someone, but they're sub-vocalizing, so you can't hear. And Jax Lupus comes on over the radio, and he says, "Hey, Jax, what's with the body, man? What's going on?"
Hey, friend, we picked up a guy we've suspected of buying the organs from the mutant, which means he's a part of this whole conspiracy. So we're just chasing down leads, basically.
Oh, all right. I'll tell the guards everything's on the up and up. Do you want to take him to the cells, or is he bound for the mortician's room?
Cells will be fine, actually. We'd like some private time alone with him, if you don't mind.
Oh, that's fine. I can arrange that. Come on in.
Very good.
The cells are in the basement underneath the barracks, which is where you guys are housing these days in House Phaedrus. So you pull him down there. He's still unconscious.
Okay.
What are you
I
guys
guess-
going to do?
We would just set him up, in an interrogating cell. And, I mean, what kind of... Are we talking cold out, unconscious, like just completely out? He's not even groggy or anything?
No, he's definitely completely out. He's breathing pretty shallowly. I mean, his arms are ruined, bloody
Yeah.
mess.
I would ask for like a house medic of sorts to patch him up a little bit just to stabilize him.
Yeah, all right. You radio, and someone comes over the comm and affirms that they'll be there. And momentarily, the door hisses open, and there's a young woman standing there with a leather gown sort of down the front of her, like an apron, and she's got like a bag by her side with a couple of tools. And she comes rushing in and starts tourniqueting the arm, and she turns to you and she says, "Oh, this might be a little gruesome." She pulls out a bone saw and starts hacking off the arm. It takes her about 10 or 15 minutes to finally cut through the bone. She gets it off, injects him with a couple of drugs. She wipes off her hands, turns to you, and she says, "Well, I've done everything I can. He may not wake up until a few days from now. Please give me a call if his condition seems to change. If you need any help from me as you move forwards in your plans with this gentleman,
Do you have anything
just
that
feel
can
free to
wake
give me a
him up
call."
now?
She sort of looks at you and she says, "Have you seen the condition of this man's body? It's astounding he hasn't bled out on his way here."
Well, the condition of the man is neither here nor there. The information that he has is what we're really after. Can you?
If his condition worsens, you could employ the services of an astropath who would be able to perform an auto seance and could plumb his memories for the information you're looking for. But that would be a traumatic experience for his mind, and he may not survive it at all. I don't know if you, gentlemen, ladies, care about that.
Excellent. That
Fuck it,
means
let's
that
do
I'll
that.
be able to create my cleaning servitor a little quicker, so reasonable.
Cool.
Well, let's give him a chance to wake up, right? I need to heal up, actually. I took some wounds to lick, I suppose.
How far
You
down are
have
you?
a hole in your chest. What is this
Yeah.
for?
I'm 8 out of 13.
Okay. But your toughness bonus is 5, right? Yeah.
Going on 6 almost, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you're fine. You'll heal at the rate of 1 hit point per day.
Yeah. Well, what do you say, friends? Let's just give it a day or two, see if he wakes up, and if not, then we'll pull in the astropathy. But we don't need to spend money willy-nilly, I don't think, right?
Sounds great, Jax. We need to get a guard here, or one of us needs to stand outside. Who knows who has heard about this, and I worry who can come in here and just take the information out right of our hands by killing them.
Thanks for volunteering, Eli.
Let's keep it eternal between us for now. I mean, they'll have their people on hand, and I'm liking House Faders, but we're a little bit too close to just leave it to people outside of our group, I think. That's my vote, anyways.
That works for me. You obviously need to go get that wound needed to. I can stay here for the first watch or the entire watch if you guys like.
Okay, sure. What do you guys think? You want to rotate in there, or does anyone else have some resting to do?
Yeah, I could stand to rest, and then I'd like to pursue the astropath. So I'm okay with this plan.
Okay.
Cool.
Engelbart, you gotta stay here with me. Or you gotta go do your own thing.
I guess I can follow you around. Something interesting might happen.
I mean, I'm gonna stand right there and I kind of point to the wall.
So I've shuffled
But
up to
it's
the
next
wall
to a
and stare at
light
it for a while.
switch, TB, so you notice the light
Yeah.
switch.
I'm like, but Engelbart, look at this, and it's just a little light switch.
I release a puff of sacred incense and stare lovingly at the switch.
Oh my god.
Eli's just sitting there rubbing his hands together. He's like, oh yeah.
Engelbart, can you describe to me what your utility mechadendrite looks like? Like, what do people
Mostly
see
like
now
a
that...
utility mechadendrite, but
Okay, yeah.
it is essentially a large articulated sort of metal tentacle arm with a number of useful attachments. It can be used for accessing security systems, so it would have things like data spikes, it would have various different manipulators, possibly a small plasma torch, something along those lines.
Cool. And where on your body is this?
It is attached to my back,
Cool.
so it kind of
it's-
comes over the shoulder.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so
By the-
Jax,
Whatever
what-
happened to the data slate that we recovered from this mutant too? TB did go. Did Engelbart look at that?
I don't think
looked at
Engelbart
that.
looked at it because it came from you guys when you were with the Morticians, Mortician Victus and Mortician Rax,
Right,
and
right.
that was while TB was under the knife, I think.
So before I
Sure.
go and rest, not with Jax, but I suppose I want to make sure I get that data slate to Engelbart.
Okay.
All right.
So data slate to Engelbart.
Kind of stepping outside of the game with that thing, the arm that TB got. Does that doesn't ever come off, right? That is him now
Oh no,
forever.
that ain't coming off. That is permanently attached.
Okay.
Well, it is as susceptible to coming off as a normal arm.
Okay. So
Yes.
someone can obviously rip it off, but he doesn't remove it at any moment. in
Right.
time.
Yeah.
Before he goes to sleep and stuff.
So do you
he's
just
not-
do you just sleep standing up? How does that work?
Pretty much.
Okay.
It's kind of like a Prius. They just plug them into the wall and
Okay. Interesting.
mumbles to
Yeah.
himself.
Okay, so Jackson Fricks, while Eli and Engelbart are guarding the prisoner's cell, what are you guys doing?